driving the conversation, making sense of the news.
Welcome to this week's episode of Making Sense of the News with me, Njideka Maduka. Today we're making sense of Atiku Abubakar's alleged vice presidential offer to Peter Obi. When I read the news about this offer, as reported by the Punch newspaper of May 19th, the first thing that came to my mind was the Obedients are not going to like this. And true to fact, a number of Obi supporters on social media, especially X, formerly Twitter, are already writing what I would call open letters to him, warning against any offer short of a presidential ticket, or else they will withdraw their support for him in 2027. The reasons are not far-fetched. Obi, in their estimation, is the only one who can rescue Nigeria. They are already reminding him of how hard they worked or labored to campaign and vote for him in 2023. Now, there is something we need to take note of, which is the fact that about a decade ago, nobody, at least on the national level, really looked at Obi with any kind of special regard. Nobody saw him as presidential material. As far as many Nigerians were concerned, he was just like any regular politician. But just as I pointed out in one of my radio programs, something made Obi rise to national prominence and made people begin to see him as a different kind of politician. If you go back, it all began in 2016 at the Platform Nigeria, an event organized by the Covenant Christian Center. Obi, one of the speakers at that event, gave a detailed account of his stewardship as Anambra State governor. He held the audience spellbound with stories of how he rejected luxury even as governor, how he reduced government convoys, flew economy class, and saved billions for Anambra State. The effect of that speech was instant. It left a lasting impression on many Nigerians. They saw him as a political figure, seemingly not cut from the same cloth as others. Now, that image went on to define Obi's political brand, projecting him as a top choice for the vice presidential ticket in the 2019 election under PDP. That same image also fueled his ambition to vie for the presidential ticket under the PDP in 2023. When that ambition was frustrated, he moved to the Labour Party, giving birth to the now popular Obidient Movement. Through the Obidient Movement, Obi came third in the election, securing 6.1 million votes, which is an impressive result for any newcomer. Some people also cannot believe it. There have been people who doubted his ability to score a high number of votes. If you go back to Governor Charles Masoludo's open letter to Obi at the time, you can remember he said something in the line of Obi not going to have an impressive outing at the election. Today, Obi's influence continues to grow. He remains a key opinion leader and presidential hopeful whose words attract national attention. Obi says something, people either praise him or castigate him, depending on the divide. So he's quite, they say, a newsmaker, if you ask me. So you can understand why his supporters are threatening to withdraw their support if he accepts a vice presidential ticket. They not only believe in him, they believe they were robbed of a deserved victory in the 2023 election. They believe Obi is the best politician in Nigeria today and would have won in 2023 if the election had been free and fair, and would still win in any free and fair contest. However, while they hold on to that belief, Atiku too believes in himself. After all, He scored 6.9 million votes in the 2023 election, more than 800,000 votes above what Obi scored. So this presents a dilemma. Obi is more popular, especially among the youth, but Atiku has the numbers. And because he has the numbers, Atiku believes it makes sense for Obi to be his running mate, added to the fact that he's more experienced. I mean, he had been a vice president, and that's why he's reportedly reaching out again with a VP offer. With the figures both of them garnered in the last election, when you combine them, it surpasses the 8.7 million votes President Tinubu got. Just like some persons have noted, if both politicians had run together under the PDP in 2023, they could have beaten Tinubu. And so no doubt, a coalition is needed for the 2027 election. But the question is, who will step down for the other? And what will each camp gain or lose in that process? Obi stands to lose his popularity and larger-than-life image if he accepts the VP offer. I mean, some people are beginning to see him as somebody that cannot go for something less than a presidential seat. In fact, his supporters will be highly disappointed, and many may withdraw their support. There is also the risk of low voter turnout in 2027 if that happens. Some would even argue that now is the best time for Obi to contest for president, as his popularity is still high. But what does Atiku himself stand to lose if he steps down for Obi? Some people say nothing. After all, he is older, and he should instead be supporting the younger generation. Well, can you really tell that to a man who has been pursuing the presidency since 1993? Atiku's ambition is to become president, and he's showing in the way he's organizing this coalition move, something he has never really done in the past. He used to be taunted, remember, for running back to Dubai after every election, but this time, Atiku is on ground, taking the bull by the horns. Since the 2023 election, we are seeing a different kind of Atiku. In the meantime, while the Punch newspaper authoritatively reported that Obi had accepted Atiku's VP offer, but was seeking the approval of his supporters, the man in question, that is Obi, has not categorically affirmed the report or even denied it. In fact, he's given mixed signals. 1 minute, he's in a coalition meeting or sending a representative. The next, he says the only coalition he belongs to is one against hunger and poverty. 1 minute, he's speculated to be leaving the Labour Party. The next, he's affirming that he's still in the Labour Party. So, these mixed signals do not help matters. If you go back, by this time in 2013, before the 2015 election, Tinubu and his allies had already formed a new political party to take over PDP. Not only that, they had visited Daura, which is the hometown of former President Muhammadu Buhari, to declare him their preferred candidate for the APC ticket. Tinubu did this by sacrificing his own presidential ambition. Now fast forward to the present time. Who is willing to make that sacrifice for this coalition? Under which party will it happen? When will a final decision be made on these matters? If these questions remain unanswered, the position may as well kiss the 2027 election goodbye. There are reports that they are considering the African Democratic Congress, but we'll see how all of these things go. Finally, the promise that Atiku will do only one term if Obi accepts the VP slot, so Obi can take over after, is something that needs proper scrutiny. On what basis is Atiku offering to do one term? Because of his age? Or because he'll be running under PDP, where he still needs to complete the term of the North due to Yar'Adua's death? Is it a trustworthy offer? Besides, many elites don't really rate Obi like that, if you ask me. Some even think that they are better than him. Remember what Kwankwaso said during the 2023 election? Let me remind you. He said he was better than Obi because he had more qualifications, while Obi only had experience in trade and governorship. So, with his likes, he found in the coalition accept that Obi should take over after Atiku, without someone shouting, "I'm better than Obi," or without someone insisting the North should complete his 2 terms. Remember President Jonathan from the South reportedly promised to do 1 term during his time, but he reneged on it. I don't want to go into that. So whatever coalition is being formed must be built on honesty. When ACN, CPC and other parties merged to form the APC, everyone knew what they wanted. Buhari did 8 years and Tinubu took over. So what is it going to be? Will Obi step down because he's younger and still has time? Or will Atiku step down because he's getting old and Obi is more popular, even though Atiku got more votes in 2023? Some would say there is no better time for a coalition than now, given the economic hardship in the country. I mean, people are finding it difficult to feed, let alone save. But will the Obidient agree? This is one angle of the coalition talk that needs urgent answers, and it should determine the trajectory of the 2027 election. We can't wait to see how it unfolds. That's it on this week's episode of Making Sense of the News with me, Njideka Maduka. So tell me, what do you make of Atiku's alleged VP offer to Obi? A masterstroke or a misstep? Let me know what you think in the comment section. Now, if you found this episode insightful, don't forget to share it and follow me for more. You can listen to this podcast and connect with me across platforms like Spreaker, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, and more via linktree.ee/Njideka Maduka. Linktree is spelled linktr.ee then /Njideka Maduka. If you also like to collaborate with me on this podcast, feel free to email me at njidekamaduka2015@gmail.com. If you also want to speak as a resource person, also email me at that address. Let's make sense of the news together, one headline at a time. See you next time.
Driving the conversation, making sense of the news.